What is up everyone, Circon here bringing you guys another video. This time around we're taking a look at the T28 prototype. Another one of those things where you're like, does anybody actually play this? But it's not just me, it's also Jose. It's also playing it. Wowee. So anyway, I figured after the Ferdinand video from, I believe it was Thursday, right? It might actually be kind of a cool series to just check tanks that no one really plays and see if they're actually worth it, right? Are they actually still worth playing in 2020? I actually think that's a pretty cool way about it. Now, there is a million tanks by now, and I have arrived at tier 8 for the free marks, right? For the gun marks. And, well, I haven't played tier 8 in a long time, besides the whole Christmas farming and the premiums and stuff. Because tier 8 was in such a bad state, right? 2018 was one of the worst years, and the beginning of 2019, before the matchmaking got changed again. So right after they introduced 357, it was really bad, and now it's actually pretty decent. I'd say that tier 6 is now a pretty bad tier all in all, but I feel like with +1, or +2, -2 matchmaking, there's almost always have to be a tier that suffers. And as far as I can tell from free marking the tier 5, 6, and 7s, and now I'm on to the tier 8, I feel like tier 6 is now the one that is bad. So I guess that is still better than having tier 8 be bad. And my reasoning for that is that the premiums are here, right? The tier 8 is a very important tier to have a little bit of, a little bit healthy. And sure, it sucks. Like, in a perfect world, all the tiers would be more than playable. But I think tier 6 is kind of suffering right now, but okay, I guess, right? So, the Progetto, as we do 1400 damage, almost 1500 now, is it still worth it in 2020? That is the question I want to answer. And, it did get buffed a little bit. For those who have played for a longer time will notice that it actually doesn't have an open top turret anymore. That was a buff. And it doesn't go 20 kilometers an hour anymore. It goes 28. So it goes a tiny bit faster. And the one thing I really noticed after, because I free marked the Ferdinand, yes, already, it was actually way better than I expected, is that this thing why does this thing have 1150 health? It doesn't make any sense. Another downside of this tank is you only have 400 alpha. Now you have a good pen and really good APCR pen, which I like. I like that better than high heat pens for the way I play. But still, like 28 kilometers an hour, and then, so it only has 400 alpha as the TD at tier 8. It's actually pretty damn low. It should be more like in the 490 range. That would have been cool. So what you're kind of left with is sort of a heavy tank, actually, that cannot fully rotate its turret either, which is a weak spot. The sides are huge and is all a weak spot. And here's the real kicker. Even though you have 10 degrees of gun depression, you see these, I'll pause the video for a second. You see how flat this is in the turret? This is an absolute super weak spot. Not that the turret is even that strong, but because that is so unbelievably flat, so many things will just straight up pen you, right? And the frontal armor is about 216 on the hull, and that the weak spot I just showed you is about 200 and something. Yeah, it's about 209 flat. Now, most tanks have been buffed at tier 8 to have more than death pen, basically. And everybody with special ammo will be able to pen you here. Every single tier 8 will pen you here or here with special ammo super easily. And the other nice meme here is that the cupolas are actually not weak spots. They are a little, like, they are not super strong. They're about 230. But yeah, it's a little bit awkward. So I don't really know in the current state what the hell this tank is doing, because it cannot make up its mind between being a heavy and a TD and ends up just suffering because of it. So it's really, really awkward. And another thing that's super annoying when playing this tank that I found is that the dispersion rate, the base dispersion rate is 36. Now you might have really good aim time, but the dispersion is so bad that you have to be up close almost. But you don't want to be up close to this vehicle because you don't have the armor for that, nor the speed or anything really to brawl with. So, your DPM is okay. It's almost 2500 base. I don't know what the defender was doing, by the way. So really, you have a tank that doesn't know what it wants to be, and therefore it just suffers on all fronts. And I don't think this tank was ever worth it. And in 2020, where there's so many more mean things to fight, and even things like turtles and the TS5, those two premiums, those things are hella annoying to fight because again, you don't have the dispersion. Also, just to get to this game, it is an absolute shit show. This map is just awful because of the A5 and the K5, and we're being overrun in some weird way. But yeah, I mean, we're doing the damage mostly because there's literally, and that's a nice high roll there. Like, we literally moved like 4 squares and started blasting, basically. And this is the best situation you can get in. But again, if this was like Ensk or something, where you're in the thick of it quickly, that is fairly good for you, but because you don't ever have armor, you just get screwed with. So this tank has not ever been worth it in the history of World of Tanks. And even with the slight buffs, it's not been worth it. So having said that, what would I do to this tank? I would just lift the HP up. Right, make it 1500 HP, right? If you want, and personally, what I actually would do is maybe make the cupola's actual weak spots, or one of them, or whatever, and fix the frontal here. This way, it becomes more like the T30 in terms of playstyle, where you have a fairly vulnerable hull, but you have 10 degrees of gun depression and a good turret. But being at tier 8, you still have the weak spot of these two cupolas. I think if you make both of those cupolas weak spots, it would still not be like the strongest in its class. I don't think it would be OP, but it would be so much more playable. And then, at that point, you can actually do the short-range fighting, hold down, on maps like El Khalouf and whatnot. And then it plays more like a T30, so you don't need to have that accurate gun, because you're up close, and at that point, the dispersion is okay, and then the 4 and alpha, it is what it is. That's okay. But in the current state, you'd be a mad lad to play this right now. And if you're grinding through it, the only advice I can give you is to just do the same thing. I always say, if you don't like the tank or you're not playing a good tank, try and do your daily in it. And, after that, you can apply the ×5s or whatever the hell they are from the 5 battles, right? Try and just utilize that, right? And just don't play it too much and try and get your daily wins in it. Trying to get the ×2s, the ×3s in the weekend sometimes, stuff like that. And I would really recommend playing as little as possible, because this tank is really not worth it. Also, where do you think this SU-14-1 is? Because we all know the other RT was like on the left here, right? Where do you think the other SU-14-1 is? It's a fairly slow, gigantic, train-looking Russian artillery piece. Where do you think it is? Don't skip ahead in the video. Just where do you think it is, boys? Because I was like, oh, he's still not spotted. He should be proxy spotted by now, and then he gets spotted at A1. I have never, in like 50,000 games, have I ever seen on cliff an enemy at A1 as artillery. That is actually insane. And yeah, we're just gonna speed this up because I'm nowhere near these T5s. Just gonna get it, and there you go. So yeah, the T28 prototype, is it really worth it in 2020? Hell no. Now there is of course the ammo rework. There's HP reworks. It might get the HP buffs and all of that. The ammo rework might be big for it. And once that has happened, that's the excuse Wargame is currently giving for not balancing and nerfing tanks or buffing them. is that they're waiting for the ammo and HP changes. Now, I kind of want to keep making these videos as long as I have some interesting tanks to talk about. I might even use other people's replays just to talk about the tank if I already free marked them or my replays are too old and I can't use them anymore. But this is the one thing I'm not sure about is, do you guys want a series like this now, before HP and, you know, the reworks happen? Because I'm kind of interested in doing this because I don't see a lot of, I really don't see anybody else doing this. And I actually think it's kind of a fun topic just to talk about the tank, have kind of like a fun replay in the background, and just talk about the strengths, the weaknesses, and if I actually think it's still worth it in 2020. Now, the tanks I am free marking currently at tier 8, a lot of them are pretty bad, but some of them are actually surprisingly good. Even at tier 7 and tier 6, the Chinese TDs were really, really cool. So I might have to do a video on them as well. But I would love to hear your input on this. I really do, because part of me is thinking, why are we doing this? Because it might get significant changes. But yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. If you're curious about the stats of this one, by the way, let me just pull it up. It's 4,700 damage, 1,400 assistance. That was all spotting, by the way. We made 30k credits, and this was a basic speed of almost 1,400, and it was an ace as well. But yeah, do let me know in the comment section below, guys. I am super serious. If you want to see more of this, I will make it if you guys want it. The only thing that I'm doing right now is wondering if it's worth it to do before so many changes to the game. So do let me know in the comment section below. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Check out some more of my videos that are on the screen right now, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.